Greetings to all, and Merry Christmas to all of you, my dear sisters and brothers, and my dear friends. This is your Pastor Yeti. Our last week involved the end of Advent and coming in Christmas season. Thursday, I'm going to talk about the Great Commandment in the Gospel of Matthew 22, the verses 34 to 40. When the Pharisees heard that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, they got together in a group. One of them, a lawyer, put him on the spot with this question. "Teacher," he said, "which is the most important commandment in the law?" "You must love the Lord your God," replied Jesus, "with all your heart, with all your life, and with all your mind. This is the first commandment, and it's the one that really matters. The second is similar, and it's this: you must love your neighbor as yourself. The entire law hangs on these two commands, and it goes for the prophets too." One day I watched a television and tennis match between two of the game's finest players. Both had been playing well. But towards the end, one of them seemed to rise to new heights. The match ended with two stunning games, when the winner not only did everything right, but superlatively. First, his opponent served, and each serve was met with a return that won the point. Then, when it was his turn to serve, each one was a clean ace. Game, set, and match. That's how the end of Matthew 22 is meant to strike us. The answer the opponents couldn't question was followed by the question they couldn't answer. Which is the greatest commandment? They asked Jesus. And Jesus' answer was so traditional that nobody could challenge him on it. And so deeply searching that everyone else would be challenged by it. Then it was Jesus' turn. Is the Messiah David's son or David's master? Or perhaps both? They never asked that question before, and they certainly didn't know the answer, even though it was standing in front of them in flesh and blood. The next occasion when Jesus will meet his opponents will be in the garden when they arrest him, in the council when they accuse him, and on the cross when they mock him. But each time they will know, and he will know, and we as Matthew's readers will know, that he knows the answers to these questions, and they do not. He also knows, and Matthew wants us to know as well, that his arrest, trial, and crucifixion are precisely the way in which Jesus is fulfilling the two great commandments, and the way in which he is being enthroned both as David's son, the true King of Israel, and David's masters, David's Lord. This is how, as the Son of God, in a still fuller sense, he has come to rescue his people. Unless we are prepared to see these questions in this light, we will remain shallow in our understanding of them. Let's deal with the surface level, though, because it matters greatly as well. Many Jewish teachers posed the question as to which was the greatest out of all the 613 commandments in the law of Moses. Many would have agreed substantially with the answer that Jesus gave. Equally important, though, these commandments were not simply among the things the Jews were supposed to do. They formed part of the prayer that every devout Jew prayed every day, in a tradition that continues unbroken to the present time. But did people actually keep these commandments? Jesus has already spoken in chapter 15 of the need for the heart to be renewed so that people will produce words and deeds which are appropriate, rather than making them impure. His challenge in the Sermon on the Mount was that the heart should be renewed, not just that the outward action should conform with the proper standard. But how could this be done? Even those of us who have spent our whole lives trying to follow Jesus and live by his grace and love know that the heart doesn't seem to get renewed all in one go. Many bits of darkness and impurity still lurks in its depth, and sometimes takes a lot of work, prayer and counsel to dig out and replace with the love which we all agree should really be there. Once more, what Jesus says here about loving God and loving one another only makes sense when we set it within Matthew's larger gospel picture. If Jesus dying for the sins of the world and rising again with the message of new life, that's when these commandments begin to come into their own. When they are seen not as orders to be obeyed in our own strength, but as invitations and promises to a new way of life, in which bit by bit, hatred and pride can be left behind, and love can become a reality. Let me give some questions to reflect on. How did Jesus fulfill the two great commandments? Does it help you to see the commands as invitations and promises? This is your Pastor Yeti.